Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Listen, y'all, I'm so excited because I'm doing something that I've been trying to do. I can't believe it took me months to figure out how to go live, to be live on TikTok as well. So I'm live on TikTok. I'm very excited about that. I am live on Facebook and I'm also live on YouTube. So welcome, welcome, welcome to Call Me CEO, The Conversations. I am your host, Angela M. Davis, aka Angela D. And tonight I will be joined by my very good girlfriend, Dr. Renita D. Davis, author, speaker, life coach, podcast host, and educator, honey, and just extraordinary woman altogether. But I would just like to say, welcome back to Call Me CEO, The Conversations. And this is the show where every week we talk about the inner work and leadership skills that women need to lead powerfully without losing themselves. So I love talking to women every week, women authors, coaches, CEOs, business owners, all of those things, because we out here doing amazing things. So I'm going to say hello to the people in TikTok. Hello. I cannot even see your home name. This is the first time I'm doing this, so bear with me because I'm live here and I'm also live on Facebook, and again, I'm live on YouTube. So tonight's episode is about a skill that's always that always gets the spotlight it deserves, because it really is a skill as CEOs, as women in business, as women just out here, not just in business, but as the CEOs of our life, the women out here trying to navigate life in this crazy world and this crazy thing that we're doing out here. So it's about communication and effective leadership. It makes a difference in how we lead, how we communicate, and influence, right? So today is about leading with love, how emotional intelligence shapes powerful women. And because emotional intelligence is not weakness, a lot of times that word is thrown around a lot. I feel like it's kind of a new buzzword nowadays. But it's super important when you're leading. It's super important when you're running a business, when you're trying to lead your life. And when you're just trying to navigate this thing, because it's not a weakness, it's about wisdom. It's a leadership superpower, as a matter of fact. So I am again honored and excited to be joined by my girl, Dr. Renita D. Davis. Dr. Davis, and I'm gonna always say Dr. Davis because my girl worked hard for that title. Dr. Davis is an author, she's a speaker, she's a life coach, she hosts a podcast, she's an educator, and her work centers on emotional awareness, growth, and intentional leadership. So I'm gonna bring my girl, Dr. Renita D. Davis, to the stage, and I know y'all can see that. There she go. Hey, girl, you on mute? Get up, come on up off the mute. You on mute?
Okay, there we go. There we go.
There we go.
How are you? How are you? It's so good to see you. It's
It's
so good
always
to
good to
see
see
you.
you. It's always good to
Yes,
see you.
yes.
I think we
We've
always have.
traveled a long road. I still have you down as my accountability partner. That's what's in my phone. Accountability
Yes, yes.
partner.
Me and Renita, look, I'm trying to fix. Okay, y'all should be able to see me good on TikTok. Me and Renita go back a few years. We met I was the accountability lead in a
Mhm.
mastermind that she was in. And I held her feet to the fire, but she did her thing, man. She did her thing, and we've been
Oh yeah.
connected ever since. I think this is in what
I've been cutting up
2021.
ever since, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
2021. I think it was, or
Yes,
was
it
it
was.
21 or
It
20?
was.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was it 21 or it wasn't 20. It had to be
I
21.
think it was 21. I think you were
Yeah.
in the second class.
Hold on a
So yeah, I
second.
was in that first class. I believe you were in the second because I came in the second as a mentor, as an accountability
Mhm.
partner, and eventually as an instructor. So I'm really
Right.
good. I mean, we've been a long way, and I've just seen
Actually,
you
it
grow.
may have been 2022. Now that
Yeah,
I'm
it
looking
might
at
have
it,
been. Yeah, I
it
think
may
you
have
know
been
what that
22
seems right.
because I'm looking
2022.
at this,
Yep.
and the copyright is 2022, and that was part of the plan. So
And
yeah,
that's crazy because I was actually the editor. I believe I was
yes,
the editor
you were the
for
editor
that
for that
book.
book.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes,
we've been rocking for a minute, man. We've been
yes.
rocking
We
for a
have.
minute. And we always have a good time when we get
Yes, we do.
together.
We do. We do. Yeah.
Always have a good time when we get together. So tonight we talking about emotional intelligence, right?
Okay.
And I don't know, I want to lay the foundation because we hear the term a lot. I had been as I'm looking and I'm on these social media streets because I'm on here a lot because it's what I do.
Right.
I have seen this word thrown around. I have seen people say it and kind of weaponize it, if you ask me, because people like, well, I have emotional intelligence, and because you lack, and and put it in that light. Many women don't really understand what it looks like in real leadership moments, though. You know what I'm saying? Because it's really about
Gotcha.
leadership. So, what does emotional intelligence actually look like in leadership, especially for women who are leading in businesses and families and teams and communities?
Okay, so well, first there are four components to emotional intelligence. So let me give you those. One is self-awareness, one is self-management, the other one is social awareness, which really is like about empathy, right? And
Yeah,
then there's relationship management. So when you have what people call emotional intelligence, you are able to manage all of those things as you navigate your space.
yeah,
Or as a leader, you're able to, one, be able to have the people who are working for you or working under you, the people that you encounter, your relationships are positive.
hmm,
Yet and you're respected, right? You're the person that will listen and not bark at others,
right,
right? You're
right,
you're the one, you're more transformational than transactional when it comes to the relationship in the workplace, right? So
hmm,
when people see you coming, they don't cringe, right? They know that they have somebody that they can trust in. They know that they have somebody that is a true leader and they will be willing to follow you, you know. So I mean, if you think about leaders and bosses, the one thing that is the problem sometimes, and I've been in these spaces where someone claims to be the leader, but yet and still there's this other person that has that leader potential. You just manage because
yeah,
you don't have the personality, or you don't have the wherewithal, the capacity to hold those four tenets, in you,
yeah,
to actually, yours is always transactional. I know some people like that. They think they're leaders, but they're so transactional in everything that they do.
right.
So, you have to step away from the transactional part. So what does it look like? That was the question, right? So um, as a leader, as a CEO, a person that is in charge, emotional intelligence looks like this. I listen before I speak. I ask your opinion.
Hmm.
I don't dictate. You know, the what I honor my word. What I say I'm going to do, I do it, and I do it fairly across the board.
Yeah, yeah,
So when you have that emotional intelligence, people are more willing it, and like I said, it is more transformational than a transactional relationship. You do something
absolutely.
for me, I do something for you. That's not what it is. It's more transformational because I see how the pattern of what you do as a leader. I trust you, and what you say you do, so therefore I'm willing to lead and I'm willing to follow you, right? And
Got it.
that's pretty much what it is. Emotional intelligence is not a badge to wear.
Right,
It's it's
right.
it's not. It's not. It is more of, it's what you do. It's an innate uh, uh, characteristic that we have, that if you want to, even if you want to go in, the spiritual realm.
Hmm.
Christians usually, if you think about a Christian, the box of a Christian, that's someone who has emotional intelligence, right?
Right,
You think, because they listen, they care, they have empathy, they
right,
consider your feelings versus
right.
their own, those types of things. So either way, in the marketplace or in the church, emotional intelligence is very important, and it's helpful, especially if you're trying to get a job done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Hopefully
agree.
I answered it. Hope
I
you
agree, though. I do agree. It's
yeah,
about being aware. It's about being intentional, and like you said,
yeah,
responsive and
yeah.
not reactive.
We're not
Responsive,
reactive.
not
Yes, yes, yes,
reactive.
yes.
I mean, it's not about being emotional either. It's not about
No, it
being
is not.
emotional. I think people take that word and they run with it. It's not necessarily about being emotional at all. Again, it's awareness, it's intentionality, and it's about being responsive and not
Right,
reactive.
right.
Because when you're reactive, it's emotion, right? And you're reacting off of emotion, right? So let's talk a little bit about managing emotion under pressure, man. Because
Ah,
women, you know it, women leaders, we face pressure from all directions. We are expected to do everything from expectations, responsibility, decision making, and often being the emotional anchor for everyone else. So even though emotional intelligence is not necessarily rooted in emotion, right? We still are tasked as women leaders, as women, period,
mhm.
to be the emotional anchor for everyone else, right?
Yeah,
So, how can women regulate their emotions under pressure without suppressing them or pretending everything is fine? Because we tend to do that as well.
right, right. Well, I can tell you, I can only use me as an example. One of
Yeah.
the things that I have learned to do, and I didn't realize it was actually a method, but there's something called the SCARF method, and they use it in the business world, SCARF.
Yes.
And let me see if I can. Okay, so it's about, so S is for status, C is for certainty, A is for autonomy, R is relatedness, and F is fairness.
Yeah.
So when you look at those as a leader, as an emotional, as a person who has that emotional compass that is very heightened, right? Because that's who we are. Women, as far as our makeup, we're givers. We
Right.
we care about others, and so it's very easy for us to take whatever's going on and take it home with us, or just
Mhm.
internalize it. And the thing about the scarf method, when someone explained it to me, a good friend of mine explained it to me, what you do is you look at each one of those and see where is it that you fall short in
Yeah.
as a leader. So is it status? And what do I mean by that? So for me, I have a real hard time, and I'm getting better at it because it's a work in progress, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but I have a problem with people questioning what I do.
Right.
That's status.
Right.
I can't manage that and understand that sometimes people will.
Yeah.
And I should not feel any less because someone is questioning me, and I don't need to just get all upset about it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm good at getting upset about it because I'm like, why are you questioning me? I know what I do,
Right.
right? We, as a leader, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
to have that balance. So one of the things that, as a woman, we have to have balance. We have to understand our shortcomings, we have to understand our strengths, and we have to understand that there is this thing within us. And I went to a program the other day. Well, I went to a meeting actually, and the speaker was talking about imposter syndrome. We
That's
I
good.
personally do not believe in imposter
Right.
syndrome. I call it something else, and
Right.
because it's not a syndrome. But what she talked about was how it affects the brain.
Mm.
So as women, as leaders, as the person in charge, we have to understand how our brain is moving and how our brain works, right?
Right.
And what are the things that cause us to get out of balance? When it comes to the brain and how we think, one of the things that I tell the people that I work with, I'm not going to call them clients, but the people that I work with, is that when we're in a stress mode, the first thing that happens is we go to the familiar.
Yeah. You got
We
that.
go back to what we used to always do. And I equate that to a child. When you were little, If you wanted something, what did you do? You had a tantrum, right? And the
Yeah.
first thing everybody did, they come around and they try to make you feel better
Yeah.
and you get what you want.
Yep.
But as a grown adult, you can't have that tantrum. It's not
Yes.
going to be cute and it's not going to be productive. So when you get in that space and you want to have that tantrum or you want to shut down, you have to realize that that little girl or that little child is coming up because that's the familiar. So you
Yeah.
have to be in the space and be mindful enough to say, you know what? I got this. I got this, little Renita. Okay. Right there. I got this. I will be okay. But just
Right.
stay in the background because I may have to do that. I
Yeah.
may need little Renita to come in and go to the familiar because
Yeah.
that's that amygdala. I always pronounce this wrong. Amygdala. You know that thing, the little almond shaped thing in your brain, right?
Yeah.
And they call it the amygdala.
Okay. Girl, now you know that's your
Girl,
lane. I don't know
why am
nothing
I
about
messing
the
that word
amygdala.
up? But they call it the hijack, right?
Yeah.
And it's the fight or flight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're in that mode, you go to the familiar. And as a leader, we have to be mindful of who we are and how we move. And
That's
we
right.
have to understand those things. How is our body addressing what's happening right now?
Yeah.
Like I know that even though I may not see chaos all over the place, if I'll break out in a hive, one hive.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see it, I understand, okay, what's happening? I'm stressed about something. So what's going on in my life that's causing me to do this? Okay, now I go and I address that. So
Right.
as a leader, we have to be able to be first mindful of,
That's
of what's going on in our lives, right? We have to recognize that little girl and we have to, give that girl a chance to go sit, you know, be the adult, handle it. If you cannot handle it, make sure that you have some supports,
mm-hmm.
right? Because you can't do everything alone. So you need to have your ride or dies or your the people around you that will be able to support you
Right.
because we have to have a go-to.
Absolutely.
We have to have
Absolutely.
a go-to. So in a nutshell, to wrap it all up, being a leader, what it looks like is we are not in control, but we are mindful
Mm.
of what's going on around us. We
Mm-hmm.
are careful in how we move, and we allow that little girl to have a seat and not freak out when it's not needed, right?
Right.
There's
Right.
some times when we can freak out, but there are times when we don't have to. So that little girl can take a seat and we can handle this. We don't have to be so afraid about it or be so upset about it or distracted, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, you know, regulating our emotions under pressure without actually suppressing them,
Yes.
because a lot of times we suppress them. You know what I'm saying? And that suppression, it leads us to burnout. It leads us to resentment. It leads us
Yeah.
to disconnection
Right.
because we repressed it and we've just gone. I used to do this very same thing instead of addressing, like you saying, I would recognize, but I wouldn't always address, right?
Yeah.
So instead of recognizing and addressing and then doing something about the emotions or the resentment or whatever,
Hmm.
because we've suppressed it and held it in, we
Yeah.
hold on to it tight,
We hold on to it
and
tight.
then we let it
Exactly.
go, and then we just
Yeah.
explode. We explode. That's where
Yeah.
the resentment and the
Yeah.
disconnection comes from.
Yeah.
And as leaders, we cannot do that. And when we disconnect, we don't just disconnect at home, right? We don't just disconnect from our families, from our children, from our spouse, from our relationship. We disconnect from our business. We
Yeah.
disconnect from our clients, our, whomever it is that we're serving. And it may not feel like we've done that, but we absolutely have done
Right.
that because now we're not showing up. We're not showing up in our businesses. We're not showing up
Hmm.
for our clients, or we're showing up half-assed, and we're not doing and putting forth what we need to put forth as a leader,
Exactly.
as a person that's committed themselves. If you have a business, you're a leader, right? If you're an author, you have a business, you're a
Yep.
leader. If you're
You're
a business owner and you running something, you have to lead it with emotional intelligence,
right,
without reacting and learning to process your emotions as women
right.
in healthy ways,
Yeah.
right? That
And,
allow
and
us to stay grounded, that allow us to stay clear and present, even
right,
in the difficult moments, because they gonna
right.
come.
Oh
They're
yeah,
gonna come.
and
They're gonna
that's
be there every day. Every day.
right.
There's
And
something
that's that
to happen.
mindful part. That's
Yeah.
that mindful part because it takes a lot of work to be mindful about yourself.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, because you have to really like own some things and you
Right.
have to sit in some things and you have to make a decision on whether this is working for you or whether
Mhm.
it's not working for you. And if it's not working for you, what are you going to do to replace it?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Because that's the whole point. That's the point about sitting the little girl down because now you have a tool to replace what you used to do. Like I said, going to the familiar. And so the mindfulness is so big and it does take a long time.
Mhm.
What we're talking about is not something that happens overnight, and
Absolutely.
it comes in pieces. You can conquer one thing, but you still have to work on another.
Yeah.
So you
And I
always
think
have
that's a
to,
lifelong, it's gonna be a lifelong
yes,
journey.
yes,
I
it
it's lifelong. It just absolutely is because there's
you're
always
right.
gonna be something.
You're
Um,
right.
I I want to talk a little bit about like communication and influence, because how we communicate determines how we're perceived,
Hmm.
how or if, and I like to say if because a lot of times we're not respected and we're not
Hmm.
trusted, right? Because of how we communicate. So, how does emotional intelligence impact communication and influence? And whether that's with your team, whether that's with your clients, your partner, your family, how does that impact our communication and influence?
It usually it kind of goes back to what I said with the going to the familiar. Your
Hmm.
communication style, um, one, you have to recognize what kind of style you have, right? Because there's the you can be the type of person that you just automatically assume everybody knows what you're talking about
Right.
when they don't, right? Or everybody is supposed to know how you feel, or that whole osmosis thing, right? Or you can be a person that speaks and what you say, how it comes out, does not really resonate with what you really mean.
Hmm.
It comes out as being condescending, or it comes
Hmm.
out as being authoritative, or it just comes out wrong. And in your heart, you didn't mean it, but
Right.
it's how you speak. So one of the things that I speak on is there's a CPR method that I coined, and it's communication, it's persistence, and or perseverance, and it's resilience. So in your communication style, the first thing that you have to do is you have to recognize that um, you are not what you say does affect other people, and that's
Right.
the emotional intelligence part. Do you have that empathy? Do you have that relational that relational component, that you're building relationships instead of tearing them down? Do
Hmm.
Let me go back to that thing because I knew I had it and I always lose my thought. I'm good at losing my thought, just in case.
Listen, I be
Yes,
thinking
they
that,
can.
and then it's late.
Yes,
Now I know it's not, it's the hour. You got an hour behind me, but I know it's
right,
late.
right.
But
And
still,
I'm tired.
we get a
Yep.
little older, we get to forgetting stuff and jumping
Right,
off.
right. So, and then that part about managing,
Yeah,
self-management.
yeah.
That's that mindfulness. So when you talk about communication as a leader, you have to, one, manage your own emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Your emotions cannot come out of what you're trying to say.
Right.
That shouldn't even be a factor. You should be able to, again, self-aware, be
Right.
aware of your surroundings and be aware of how you're feeling before you start to go out and say something. You need to really be, again, mindful. I'm gonna keep
Yeah.
using that word. You need to
Yeah.
be mindful of how are you doing this day. The thing is, how do you show up? How can you show up authentic but yet and still get the job done?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Um, Again, being the what's going on in the in the neighborhood, what's going on in the area where you are. There may be a whole lot of other stories going on. So
Yeah.
you just can't come in and expect your story to be the top story. And what I mean by story is how you're feeling this day. There
Right.
are other people in your sphere of influence that they have other emotional things going on too. And they have to sit here and go through this whole emotional intelligence framework practice
Mm-hmm.
themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you come in not recognizing that other people have stories, you also have to realize that if someone claps back on you,
Right.
you don't take that personal as a leader. You can't take that as something negative,
Right.
right? I mean, even though it will be, right? But you have to learn how to compartmentalize what that is and understand. Here's where the empathy comes in. Understand, where is that coming from? Because Susie A, she usually is a pretty cool person, but today Susie's got some problems because she's just really flipping off at everybody. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so as a leader, your communication to her would be, a one of empathy and one of fact finding, trying
Yeah.
to figure out what it is that's going on. Hey, Susie, come and talk to me. How can I help you? How can we get through this day? It's never you. It's how can we, or how can I help you? Because as the leader, your job, my husband told me this, and I always remember it, and I use it all the time.
Right.
As a leader, my job is to make your job easier.
Yes, right. Right. And I
So
don't think we look at it like that. A lot of times
no,
I don't think we do. I don't think we look at
no,
it like
no. So I've got to figure out what's going on with Susie because Susie's messing with the process right now.
that. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And we need to get A, B, and C done, and we can't do that because Susie is a very important part of it. So we've got to make sure that she's okay. And I'm not saying we need to coddle her, we need to hold her hand, we need to, pat her on the back, all of this stuff. But there are some things that you can do to attend to what's going on so that the train can keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be empathetic when in your communication. You have to
Yeah.
understand everyone has a story, and you have to not be sensitive about how things come back to you.
Right.
But
Right.
you do have to make sure that what you say is being heard, and that's not yelling. That's
Yeah.
in by that relationship,
Yeah.
because nobody is going to listen to you if you are always the negative one. They will look like they're listening, but they will
But
never
they're not.
really follow you, right? Again,
Right.
that transactional part, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
the communication looks like that. It's something that's um it's reciprocal. Okay.
Listen and
Yeah.
observe and respond with intention.
Right. Right. Right.
You know,
Exactly.
and that's how you build the trust, because trust is the foundation of
Yes.
influence. It's the foundation of your business. It's the foundation of your brand,
And
period.
how
Because
And if you think about it, if you don't have that trust and you don't have that right communication with the people that you work with, do you think that they'll go out and broadcast you?
absolutely not. And that's,
So
I was just about to say that. That's
you
where the foundation is. You
right,
know, making money is not always just about the product and the service and the this and the that. You have to get, if they don't trust you, they ain't gonna buy nothing from you no way.
they're not going to buy anything.
You
And if
know,
and if the people that you work with or work under or work around see you as somebody that is not trustworthy, or that you don't honor what you say, or you're wishy-washy, you're not
mhm,
consistent,
mhm,
because that's what everybody looks for. Everybody looks for consistency.
yeah,
I have been in places where things were not consistent, and my supervisor was not a good supervisor. They were bad. They were bad. And they were not consistent, to the point where when I would write my notes, and even though it was a mandate that we were supposed to leave them unlocked so they could go in, I would always lock mine because
Yeah.
I knew they were going to go in there and they were going to mess it up. So either I would lock it or I would make my own copy. And so the next day when I saw my notes, if it was different, I would go in there, change it right back, and then send it off because I'm not, no, I don't trust you.
Yeah. And yeah. And I think like you said, if the trust isn't there, you can't be an effective leader.
No,
Because if
you cannot.
they have to be able to trust you to lead them. Where are you taking me? Where are we going?
Right.
And
Where are
that's
we
where the
going?
respect comes in. And I
It's,
also want to say too that empathy actually makes leaders stronger. It makes you a stronger leader, right?
yes.
Because if I can say, "Hey, I'm putting myself in your shoes. I understand what's happening. I understand what you're going through." It makes me a more effective leader, a more effective woman, a more effective mother, wife, business owner, all of those things.
Yeah.
Because empathy it makes a stronger leader, right? So
Right. It does.
how can we lead with love without being taken advantage of? Because that's another thing.
Ah,
Sometimes we're, um, I think a lot of people think that if we get with, with the woman leader or with the woman boss or the woman whatever, and we take advantage of that a lot of time. I'm not gonna say we, but sometimes people tend to try to take advantage of that.
yeah,
But
because
we also have to set those boundaries, though.
right. And you said it. That's what it is. It's by setting boundaries. You if you can set boundaries, then and again, it'll go back to are you consistent in what you're doing?
Yeah,
And are you fair?
yeah.
I've seen I know someone who is very empathetic, and it's funny because I see and I greatly appreciate, you know, the level of empathy that they have because it's very needed, right?
Hmm.
I'm not so much, I am empathetic, but I am also, I have that boundary. I stand on what I stand on. And
Right,
that's that fairness and that's that consistency.
right, right,
And
right.
where we get taken advantage of is where our empathy doesn't match our consistency.
Hmm. You got that right.
So as an empathetic person, I can feel for you, but still the deadline is next week,
That's
right?
it.
If
Now,
if
that's
you
one thing I
can't,
never played at all.
and here's the thing, if you can't do it, my level of empathy is okay, how can we get this out?
Right.
Because the leader is never to be so high that they can't come down and put, and get boots on the ground, right?
That's
They
it.
can't get on their hands and knees and do the same thing because hey, this is your business. You should be able to do it anyway. You've worked up in the ranks. If it's a corporate, you should be able to know how to do these things, right?
Hmm.
So if there is somebody that if the link is kind of broken,
Yeah.
how do you go in there and fix it or add to it so that it will be able to continue on? And that's how you're not taken advantage of.
Right.
You have your consistency, you have your empathy, and those two together will ensure that you won't be taken advantage of because they know that fairness,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
They know that you say what you say and you're going to do what you do.
That's right.
So and even when they do, because people will test you, right? They will always
Oh, they always
they,
gonna
they
test
will go to the edge, right?
you. Yeah.
So even with those, when you're consistent, they pull back. And
And
if they
when people
don't,
know, they know.
they
When
know.
people know, they
They
know. Yeah.
they truly know. So you have to have that consistency, and you have to have. There is no sin or there's nothing wrong with being empathetic. It's just the balance that you have to take. You
Yeah.
you have to have that balance.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part because again, that's the mindfulness, being
Yep.
able to recognize, oh, that's my nephew. I hear it. But that's what you have to do. You
Yeah.
have to be able to have that consistency and that balance because
Mhm.
I can think of so many times that I was out of balance.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely. It's gonna
yeah,
and there's gonna be those times, but like you said, you have to be consistent in it. You have to be aware of it because when you
right,
have that mindful awareness, you're able you can rein it back in because
right,
you notice it and you recognize
correct.
it. But listen, before we get up out of here, I want you to tell people what you have going on. I know you got something going on. So what you got going on, or do you have anything coming up? What you
Oh
do?
gosh. Okay. Well, I do have a couple of speaking engagements coming up.
Okay.
Um, one is in the 19th, but it's over here. I'm going to be speaking at a Rotary. The
Where,
other
you got to tell the folks where you at. They don't know where you at.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I am in Chicago, Illinois, or in a suburb in Illinois. And so I will be going to Barrington, I think it's Barrington, uh, for a to speak at a Rotary. And I'm actually going to be talking about volunteerism and my
Right.
CPR method. Um,
Okay.
I coined those two together. And so I've had a lot of people asking me to do that. The other thing is I am in the process of writing again. I
Oh,
have some more writing that I have to do. And so I'm trying to get myself scheduled for that.
okay.
What else am I doing? Trying to be a mom and a wife and retired.
And that's it. I know that's right, girl.
Yeah, I'm trying to retire. And I can't figure out how I am more busy. My calendar is even more full. The
Mhm.
other thing that I'm doing, which I am really, really excited about, is the area where I live. There has never been a designated Black History Month thing,
Okay.
celebration, or whatever. And so I went to the board meeting and I asked about it.
Hmm.
And in asking about it, I wound up speaking with the economic development director. We have now got a plan going, right? So this year, because we're so far into it, right? We're not going to be able to do anything this year, but for the first time, we've got a declaration that's going to be read at the board meeting. So I'm asking all people in my area that lives in the Round Lake area that they come out and support and hear this thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it talks about this is the 100-year anniversary, and the declaration does include that. Right now, keep us in prayer because we got to wait. We got to get the board to approve it. But I'm still
Mhm.
calling everybody out. Everybody come out and just sit, because either they're going to read it or they're not. And if they're not reading it, I'm going to get up again and ask them why they wouldn't read it, right? And
No,
then
that's
I'll have the support. But this is what, I'm working a movement here. So I'm
yeah,
using my degree. That's
yeah,
it. I'm using my degree.
absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm just working in the community, trying to help people feel safe, seen, and supported. That's it.
And that's what we
It
here
right
for
there.
you.
Right.
I keep saying I got all of these messages, y'all, and I swear I'm not ignoring y'all. I just don't know how to do this thing on I'm on TikTok. And I'm not ignoring, I don't know how to do it. I just went live and this is what I'm doing. As I learn, I guess I will grow. But child, I don't know what to do up on this thing other than be live. And that's
That's it,
that's
huh?
all we gonna do. How can people connect with you? How can they stay in touch with you?
Um, how do people can connect me? Well, you can connect with me on my website. I have two actually. I have my business website, which is International Community Hope Project. The website is www.ichpmove.com. That is my website. You can also reach out. You can see me on Facebook. Uh, or I also have a a a faith um, group that's out there on Facebook. It's called A Measure of Faith. And let's see, what is my Facebook? I think it's Real Renita, or
Mhm.
either
It
it's
is. It's
yeah,
real,
it's
Renita.
real,
Yeah.
yeah, it's Real Renita. And I don't ever remember all of my handles. You can also reach me on LinkedIn. You can also see me on LinkedIn. So if you type in Renita D. Davis, make sure you put the Renita D. Davis. Also, and lastly, on Monday mornings, every Monday, 6:30 in the morning, Central Time, I do a measure of faith, a measure grad
Faith
faith
Cafe.
cafe. Lord, I do a faith cafe to another level, and you can just subscribe to the my YouTube, which is Renita D Davis underscore faith cafe, and
Yeah.
you can see all of my streams, the live ones, the recorded ones. I've been doing it for 3 something years,
Yeah.
so yeah. Hey,
I
Carnella.
was about to say, I see Nella.
Hi,
Hey,
girl.
girl. I see a couple folks have joined. It is always, always, always a good time, man. When you come here, it's always good to have a conversation with you. It just, it's always good. And just for
Yeah,
reminding us that emotional intelligence is not optional, it is
right.
essential.
It
It's
is
not an
not.
option.
It is
It's
essential. Yes.
essential, right? And
Yeah.
so, to every woman that's watching, whether you catch us on the replay, whether you catch us live, just know that your emotions are not a liability. Your empathy is not a weakness, and your emotional awareness as a leader is an asset, right? It's
Yeah.
an asset for your business, it's
Yeah.
an asset for your brand, it's an asset for your community. It's an
Right.
asset for your community, your family, and just knowing that as a leader, being emotionally intelligent is not always about the emotion, right? It's not always about the
Right.
emotion. It's leading with intention, and it's leading with love, and it's going out there, and serving. Just like you said, you are using your degree and you're serving. You
Yeah.
serving the community, and you're serving the people that God called you to serve.
Right.
And that's what it's really all about, man. And
Right.
that's what we're here.
Exactly. And also just to know that emotional intelligence has levels. So don't get it twisted because you're not at a level where somebody else is or where
That's
you
it.
think you should be. It is something that you grow into and you learn. And as long as you're mindful about how you move, that emotional intelligence will mature, it will grow, and it will blossom into the thing that you want it to,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, if tonight's episode resonated with you here on TikTok, I'm so excited. I'm actually live on TikTok. I can't believe it. And anywhere else, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. The link will be there. On TikTok, the link is in my bio. On Facebook, it's somewhere, but it's going to be in the comments. And also, grab your copy of my 10th book, Don't Call Me Crazy, Call Me CEO. And it was written for women who are learning to lead with clarity, confidence, and emotional strength. Also, share this episode with a sister who's ready to lead with both strength and heart. You can also join me on the school platform. That's school,
Oh,
SKOOL, the
well, yeah.
school platform. Join my free community, the Execution Lab. Honey, we are executing, we are building businesses, we are marketing. I'm a master digital marketing strategist, and so I teach all things marketing, and not just marketing, because we also feed the entire woman, man. We do mindset, we do emotional intelligence. We talk about all these things because you cannot build your business with a fractured mind. You cannot lead with a
No, you
fractured mind.
cannot.
You
I
just you
like
can't do
that.
it.
I like
You
that.
can't do it, man. And scared money don't make no money. So get on in the Execution Lab so I can teach you how to use these digital products. I got a class coming up on the 19th, but all of those links will be in the comment. Thank you again for joining, and we about to get on up out of here, man.
All righty. Well, it has always been a pleasure. I know it's going to be very dangerous when we finally meet face to face. That's
Yeah,
all I got. It's going to be real
it's
dangerous.
gonna be dangerous, man. It's gonna be dangerous. Listen, I love
Yeah.
y'all. Thank y'all for joining me again.
All
Peace.
right. Take care, everyone. Just